process in the brain, which the brain then sends the organ the instructions of how to increase or decrease its capacity based on the biological purpose of that program, right? So let's take extreme examples. We have a concept called phantom limb pain. Okay, you'll be familiar with this, but I'll explain it for your audience. Okay, I have a problem with my leg. I have my leg amputated. Okay, so I have only one leg now. After I have my leg amputated, I still feel pain in the leg that's no longer there. Okay, now you say to yourself, how can you feel pain in an organ that is no longer there? Okay, I mean, that's ridiculous. And the answer to the problem is the pain is not in the leg. The pain is in the brain. Okay, so whether you have the leg removed or not, it makes absolutely no difference. So if you have breast cancer and you have your breast removed, okay, it makes zero difference, no difference, okay? And we can see that even in the existing system, we have a concept called recurrent breast cancer, okay? Recurrent breast cancer is where you get cancer on a breast that's been removed, okay? So you have a mastectomy, the breast is removed, and then you still get cancer on the breast after it's removed. Now, doctors say, oh, maybe some cells were floating around and this, and there was some left and whatever, right? Not the case. You've had another nest conflict that's triggered that problem. The biological program runs in your brain, not in the organ. The organ is just the expression of the biological program. It's the symptom of the biological program. You can never solve a problem, not in business, not in health, by addressing the symptom of the problem. You can only ever solve a problem when you address the cause of the problem. So if you want to solve health challenges by removing organs, essentially the only option available to you is to have your head cut off. Okay. Now, Sean, that is not ideal, and I do not recommend it. Just saying, right? Come on, we're being radically genuine here, right? I am not recommending that you have your head cut off. But if you want to remove organs in an attempt to solve problems, this is the only option, right? Because this is where the processing happens in the brain. The organ is just a symptom. So if you have ulcerative colitis and you have your colon removed, you will still experience colon cramps in your colon, even though you don't have a colon anymore. It doesn't solve
Danny, let me jump in here.
It doesn't solve any problem.
Yep. All right.
Come in, doctor.
Danny, I'm going to be skeptical. I'm going to challenge you here, but I want to make sure I get everything right. So cancer cells are a evolutionary biological adaptation to serve us. Fair?
Nature never goes wrong, doctor. Nature, in your lifetime, will never make a single mistake.
Okay. So then if those cancer cells then we would not be treated, right? What would be the natural process of cancer if it didn't undergo what are the traditional treatments? So
your question is framing, you're still putting cancer cells, you're still putting cancer through a filter of disease. Okay? It's not a disease. We have fundamentally misunderstood what cancer is. Okay? The doctors say, oh, you've got abnormally fast-growing cells. Correct. Dr. Hummer had abnormally fast-growing cells in his testicle, right? And if your child gets hit by a car, you get abnormally fast-growing cells in your mammary gland, in your breast. Okay. Now, doctors think that the abnormally fast-growing cells are abnormally fast-growing because they're broken or they've gone wrong. Okay. They think that the cells are broken and gone wrong because they don't understand, number one, what caused the problem or what the purpose of those abnormally fast-growing cells are. When you understand what causes the problem and what its biological purpose it is, then it is no longer a disease that is going to spread around your body and kill you like some invading army of soldiers inside you. It doesn't work that way. Okay.
All right. What would be the biological purpose of like a 2-year-old who has cancer?
So you can, we can experience trauma in the first trimester of pregnancy. Okay, Dr. Hummer spent the last 7 years of his life helping children with Down syndrome to pull out of Down syndrome and fully recover their health. Right. So how did he do that? When a child with Down syndrome was born, Dr. Hummer took a brain CT scan to find out what part of the brain had been affected, and discovered that essentially with children with Down syndrome, basically what he found is that the hearing centers, which is just above your ears here in your cerebral cortex, basically both had been shut down, okay, in the first trimester of pregnancy. So Dr. Hummer then basically spoke to the mothers of these children with Down syndrome, and the hearing center is a hearing conflict, right? So basically, what he said, right? What loud noises were you exposed to? So what he discovered is that in the first trimester of pregnancy, if a woman gets exposed to loud noises, that that will put the fetus essentially into fight or flight.
I got a follow-up question, kind of in the same area, because my brain's spinning right now.
My brain's been spinning for the last 10 years, Sean.
But what about environmental factors that could be causing cancer? What is the biological response that is causing that to happen if we're saying it's caused by an environmental factor, like chemicals or exposure to leaks? What's going on there?
So
no connection?
Yeah, no connection. No. In the Germanic healing knowledge or Germanic new medicine, there are 5 biological laws of nature which apply to humans, animals, and plants. And basically, the first rule of Germanic healing knowledge is called the iron rule of cancer. In the iron rule of cancer, cancer can only be caused by what Dr. Hummer called a biological conflict shock, or what we know as emotional trauma or a life crisis. There is no second cause for cancer, no smoking, no environmental chemicals, no chemicals in your food, no cell towers, no cell phones, no nothing. Okay. Now, those things, Sean, can make you sick, right? So radiation, for example, kills cells. Okay. Mm-hmm. Or if you put chemotherapy inside your body, which essentially is mustard gas, right? It's going to make you very sick, and your body will do everything it can in order to evacuate that poison from your body, vomiting, loose motions, etc., because it will make you very sick, but it does not cause cancer. Cancer is a survival biological program that can only be triggered by a life crisis. End of discussion.
I said I was coming in this with a beginner mind, right?
I'm still a beginner, so just FYI.
The role of the immune system, right? So one of the ways that I guess I've thought about this is epigenetics, and our entire lifestyles would influence the development of disease. But you're telling me that cancer is not a disease, so it kind of stops the conversation right there.
Correct.
Then I want to know more about the healing of this. So are we just getting it wrong that when we see these constellation of cells, that the response to it should be completely different than what our medical system, in the manner in which we're responding? And so what is then the path?
Absolutely. So I mean, let's take different types of cancer, so you can start to sort of pull it together in terms of this biological survival program, right?